What's good with y'all, boys? Welcome back to another episode of Rand Car Everything Sports Podcast. Today we're going to break down our big-time conference championship games for this week. So, Ray, which game do you want to talk about first?
I think in recent memory, this is one of the few weeks that we really don't know what teams are going to make the college football playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of games that are still up in the air, a lot of teams that we still don't really know a lot about. So, first of all, I'm going to start off with I think everybody's no-brainer. It's going to be Michigan versus Iowa. I don't know that this is going to be much of a game. I don't think that this Iowa team is going to really put up much of a fight from the jump. I have the final score being Michigan 33-3. And not that I think that Michigan
Hey,
really same score.
nah, I mean, the 3 points, yeah, but
I think that Michigan not. I don't think they'll score 33 points because Iowa's defense is bad. I just don't believe that Iowa will be able to stay on the field long enough to keep Michigan's offense off the field. I think by the time, as soon as Michigan's offense gets off the field, they're coming right back off, and Michigan's going right back on. I think time of possession is going to be a very, very big difference in this game. So I believe that Michigan will put up a lot of points, and Iowa's going to have a tough time.
yeah, my final score is 30-3 Michigan. And for the same reasons you say, I mean, obviously Iowa has a really good defense, but when you're on the field that much, you're going to break down. You're going to have mental lapses, and you're going to be physically exhausted. So uh, we all know Michigan's by far the favorite. Last time I checked, the line was 24.5. I'm honestly may take that line. I know it's a huge line, and it's a conference championship game, but Iowa just has no offense. I mean, their team total is point 0.5. Their quarterback's touchdowns are point 0.5, and it's at minus 200 odds. I mean, these are lines we've never seen pretty much. Yeah, we've seen the point 0.5 touchdowns, but point 0.5 team total, I've never seen a line that low. But I think we both have, or we obviously both have Michigan big here. So, I mean, we all know Michigan's going to beat them and make the college football playoffs.
Next up for me, I'm going to go to Texas versus Oklahoma State. I don't know that this is going to be too much of a game either. I think the line is a lot. I have Texas 31-14. I think I'm pretty confident in that score. I think that this Texas team is about twice as good. I mean, I don't know that. I think Oklahoma State's just been too inconsistent throughout the year. They beat some good teams. They've lost to some bad teams. So I think Texas has got a lot to prove. I think they still want their spot in the college football playoffs. And I think they're going to come out hot and ready and early. I think they're going to come out wanting it.
Yeah, I have the final score being 35-24, Texas. But one thing that does worry me with Texas is they do go to these big leagues, but they kind of seem to let these teams get back in games. And I do think that Oklahoma State does have the ability to kind of control the game with that run game with Ali Gordon that I talked about previously. And considering that Texas star running back is out right, that's going to hurt them a little bit too. And I feel like nobody really talks about that. But I still do have Texas winning. I don't think they're going to cover the 14 that I saw recently, but I do have them winning pretty comfortable.
All right, next I'm going to start to go into some pretty hot and heavy games with the Power Five conferences. Next time I'm going to Georgia and Alabama. Um, I
Uh,
I have Georgia winning this 31-20. I don't know that. I think it'll be a pretty good game, but I think Georgia will lead most of the way and pull away right there at the end. I just don't know that this Alabama team is quite complete enough to compete with Georgia. I think Georgia's the best team in the nation. I think they're going to show that against Alabama. Usually, when Georgia's the best team, they show it against Alabama. I mean, this Georgia team has been beating up on good teams all year. We always like, oh, the game's going to be close. The game's going to be close. Georgia might lose, and they come out and blow teams out by 30. So, I mean, I don't know that this is going to be much of a difference. Don't get me wrong. I think this Alabama team has come a long way. I just don't believe they have all their pieces together to be a good Georgia team.
yeah, I'm a Georgia fan, and no matter what team you have, when we play Alabama, it always worries me. But I do have Georgia winning 30-24, but it's going to be a great game. The key to success for Alabama is can Jalen Milroe use his legs and can he control, the time position and take care of the football. If they do that, if Georgia allows him to run free and escape and extend plays, Georgia's going to be in heap of trouble for sure. But one good sign is that Alabama defense is not quite as good as we thought, and the defensive line got pushed around by Texas earlier in the year, and Auburn pushed them around too, running for gosh, almost 250 yards. So I do think that Georgia's going to be able to run the ball a little bit better than they have been, and or continue to keep running the ball well. And I do like that Bowers and McConkey, they're their two best weapons. Stat last week against Georgia Tech to rest to get ready for this big game. Bowers is a freak. I think that he'll have a great game because there's no way to really prepare for him. And I do think that Beck will continue to play well and continue to take care of the ball. So the keys for success for both teams is Alabama. Camaro really just be a freak of nature and continue to just kill teams with his legs and take care of the ball. And for Georgia, can they control the time position, run the ball well, and just get the ball to their stars in McConkey and Bowers. But I do have Georgia winning 30-24 in a really close game.
I think the key to success for both teams is going to be which team can establish a run game, which team can start to move the ball and not have to rely on their quarterback, which team can use which both teams has been exposed in the run game by the same team. So we'll see if either team can establish a run game and force that defense to stay honest up front. Next up for me, I'm going to go to Oregon and Washington. I think that this Oregon and Washington team are two different teams than when we saw them, especially on the Oregon side. I think this Oregon defense is very, very good now. I think they've really, really come alive since losing that Washington team. And these aren't the same teams we saw whenever they played each other. I think Washington's pretty similar, but I think this Oregon team is going to come out wanting it. I think they really, really have had high expectations for this team all offseason and going into the season. And I think that Washington loss was very disheartening for them, but I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to come out wanting it. I have Oregon winning 38-24. I think Bo Nix will have a big game.
Yeah, I also do have Oregon winning. I have Oregon winning 34-27. And my main reason is the last 5 games for Washington, their defense is allowing 29 points per game. In the last 5 games for Oregon, their defense is allowing 14 points per game. So we understand what Bo Nix brings to the table. Last 5 games, 22-1 total touchdown to INT ratio. Troy Franklin, the wide receiver, he's averaging the last 4 games 130 yards receiving. Tez Johnson, last 5 games is averaging 114 yards per game. And Bucky Irving, the running back, is averaging over 120 yards from scrimmage. So they're super explosive on the offside of the ball, and their defense is playing their best football when it matters the most. So I think that Oregon's going to win comfortably. The line is currently 10, and they're huge favorites. So Washington did beat them, but I think everybody thought that if that was neutral site, maybe if it was a little later on, maybe if their guy makes the field goal, things would be different. So I do think Oregon is a better team. I thought that even after they lost when they played Washington earlier on in the season. So I do have Oregon winning 34-27.
Then finally, it's going to be Florida State. I have them winning 24-21 in a close game versus Louisville. I thought this Louisville team was pretty good early on. I'm slowly starting to come down off of them. I don't think that Florida State will win this game because they're a great team. I just don't think that Louisville's as good as people think. So I think that even with a bad quarterback, I think all the pieces around that new quarterback coming in, replacing Jordan Travis, I think they'll be able to hold this game up and beat Louisville 24-21.
Yeah, for me, I have Louisville winning this game 27-24. And the simple thing for me is the only way that Florida State wins this game is if it's through the defense side of the ball. Jordan Travis, when they played North Alabama, the defense already stepped up. They were at 10 points whenever he got hurt, and they finished the game with 13. The last week, they played a good Florida team, and they only gave up 15 points. Or not a good Florida team, but a Florida team, and their defense stepped up again and held them to 15 points. The main thing for me is I think this month's going to be a little too big for that backup quarterback. And Louisville is a good team. They're 10-2. They knocked off a pretty good Notre Dame team as well. So I just think that the moment's going to be a little too big for that guy. I think he just had enough time to really gel with the receivers and gel with that team. And I do think that Florida State's defense is not going to be able to hold these teams to less than 20 points how they have been the past 2 weeks. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I do have Louisville upsetting Florida State and in all intents and purposes knocking them out of the college football playoffs, winning 27-24.
So then looking at it now, we're going to go through and see which of our conference champions are going to get left out. I think Kyle's will be pretty easy looking at his prediction. Mine is not so easy. I have Oregon winning, Texas winning, Florida State winning, Georgia winning, Michigan winning. To me, Georgia and Michigan, she wins. I mean, they're going to be undefeated. They're going to get in. So now you have Florida State with a terrible strength of schedule and a new quarterback. You have Texas, who's a 1 loss, and you have Oregon, who's a 1 loss. To me, you have to put Oregon in because Oregon has to rematch. I think Oregon's one of the best teams in the nation. I think everybody can see that. Oregon got their rematch, and I think they're going to handle Washington handedly. So I think that'll kind of null out that loss, and I think Oregon will make it. Then you got Texas and you got Florida State. To me, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think they have to put Texas in. I think that leaving out an undefeated team is going to be tough, but I do believe they're going to see that Texas is the better of the 2 teams that are left, and I think Texas will make it in. They had that 1 loss to Oklahoma, but since then, I mean, they haven't really struggled very much, so I think this Texas team is just a better team, and I think they'll end up making it over Florida State.
Yeah, and I think that as far as my prediction goes, if Florida State does lose, that'll pretty much leave Texas with that 1 loss, and then Washington with that 1 loss, and I would still probably put Washington in. So for me, it'd be Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Washington. But going on to your scenario, I do agree with you. If Florida State does win, You know, then Bama loses as well. It'd be hard to not put Texas in just because their schedule and their wins they've had. So I mean, a lot of stuff could go down. If Georgia loses and Florida State wins, I mean, it's going to be hard for the committee for sure. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely going to be tough.
To me, you have to put the SEC champion in. I don't care who it is. Both teams are
Yeah,
so good. Both teams, this win will finally solidify how good their team is. To me, the SEC champion has to be in. I don't see any way that Michigan loses, so they're going to have to be in. To
no,
me, the Pac-12 champion has to be in. I mean, I think those are two of the probably top four best teams in the nation. I think they have to be in, and then
yeah.
it's just going to come down to the Big 12 and the ACC. So we'll see. Hopefully,
So if
go ahead.
so, say Bama wins, right? So Bama wins, Michigan wins, Oregon wins, and then you have Georgia with one loss, Washington one loss, Texas one loss, and then you have Florida State one loss. Who goes into that fourth spot? Because it'd probably be Michigan, Oregon. I mean, and then you know who fills in those two spots? You know,
It would be Alabama for sure. I think Alabama, if they can pull out this win, I mean, that week 2 loss will be kind of nullified by beating Georgia. I think they'll have to be in. And then out of all those one loss teams, I think the only thing that'll separate them is going to be the conference champion, which will be Texas. So I think that'll put them in.
wow. So do you think Georgia wouldn't get in if they lose
Not
Saturday?
with, I think this year, I think it's one of the only years that you can comfortably say, unless something crazy happens, you have to win your conference championship to get in this year.
Dang, that'd be tough because because I don't know because I would feel like Georgia's loss to Alabama would be a better loss than Texas' loss to Oklahoma. You
Yeah, but
know,
we've seen it a few years back that a team with one loss at the end of the season, that loss is just going to dwell with the College Football Playoff Committee a lot more
yeah,
than a loss that happened
definitely would,
2.5 months ago.
definitely would for sure.
Plus,
Yeah,
I mean, plus you're also looking at a who's a conference champion, who's not. I think that's the big thing. You have
yeah,
two
that's
one
definitely
loss teams,
true.
and who's the conference champion, who's not.
Yeah, I mean, because I think there's no doubt in my mind that Georgia's the better team, but if they were to
Plus,
lose that Saturday,
you have to look at it this way too. If you're talking about Texas and Georgia, Texas beat Bama, Bama beat Georgia.
yeah, but I think everybody can say that this Bama team is a way different team than
Yeah,
what
but
they
a
played in
lot of
Texas.
time we've seen that
And Texas, yeah, go ahead.
the College Football Playoff Committee kind of just looks at the records as a whole. They don't
Oh,
really look at, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, for sure. Well, that's why I am glad that they are expanding that out to 12 next year because. But also, you still can have these conversations with the Arizonas and the Louisville and teams right outside of that top 12 to like who's getting in. So I understand that, when we get to 12, there's still going to be people that are unhappy. But I think this year is one of like truly like the great years that, it's not just plain and obvious who's going to get in, which is what the sport's all about.
Most definitely.
But anyways, we appreciate y'all watching. Y'all tune in next time as always and peace out.